Yeah, they're looking into it. No, he'll do that on Zoom. He'll look at it.
Yes, I'll just put it up and I'm gonna show.
I just use it.
No, yeah, it's all
Emotionally, we share.
I have an agenda, so.
Yes.
Alright.
That's great. Erica's got the, I think.
Just like my name, if you just like that. See it all sitting there.
I noticed, I did notice it. No, that one was the. Yeah. Yeah, but they know, like, no, they're like, on that, they're at. Okay, so. That's good. Yeah, but you know, that's, yeah. I might just. Mention, like, yeah, so I was that. Thank you. That is pretty funny.
I didn't even look at it. Mitch, one round.
But this is our dog. It's toward the end. Or. That wasn't you. And that's. So much right, you wrote it.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief.
Oh, what's going on?
My letter.
No.
Okay, temporary. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry.
That's the,
Where does it say that?
it says it, last resolution that you needed for this evening.
That's interesting.
You want it? Everybody just pass it down, please.
Wow. What's this? That's final resolution.
All American.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one-
They have a couple changes.
What?
All these resolutions.
What's your paper?
What else is new? You said what else is new?
You're making them, I'm not. I'm done. This we didn't get in our packet. This is the one that we didn't actually.
Right.
So.
Okay, we'll find out.
Yeah. Beneficial for Darcy's pattern to operate. Beneficial.
That's all.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
How I feel Thursday morning.
It's on the other. Yeah, Want to know about your grass. Gotta figure out what to do with that.
Guys. Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry.
I wish to announce that the 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act was emailed to the Asbury Park Press, the Coast Star, and the New Coaster on December the 18th of 2025, that a copy has been placed on the bulletin board in the Borough office and that a copy has been filed with the municipal clerk. Please be advised, public attendance for meetings through Zoom is mandatory and a courtesy only. Is not mandatory and a courtesy only. If for any reason Zoom fails or is disconnected, the in-person meeting will continue without interruption. And action can and will be taken, providing that there is an in-person forum. Ms. Noble?
Here.
Ms. Greenblatt? Here. Mr. Carr?
Here.
Mr. Nowicki?
Here.
Mayor Gubitosi?
Here. All right, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for those joining us via Zoom. We are about to embark on item 5 on the agenda, workshops, but for those of you who have tracked my council career and now my year plus as mayor, you know that I have a history of having had a lot of prepared statements. But for a good year and a few months, I believe I have not had any until tonight. I'm going to read a prepared statement just to start this meeting off. I'll make it quick. It's not something I actually want to do. It's something I feel a bit compelled to do. So I want to address an important matter concerning data security and residents' privacy. It has come to the borough's attention that emails have been recently distributed to members of the public by a former borough official. Based on information currently available, it appears that the distribution list used for these communications may have been derived in whole or in part from municipal contact information maintained by the borough. As a result, several residents and non-residents have contacted the borough expressing concerns regarding the use of their emails. The public provides personal contact information to the borough for the purpose of receiving information about municipal services, programs, and operations. We believe that such information should be safeguarded and used only for legitimate governmental purposes, consistent with applicable laws, policies, and the expectations of our residents. Please note, my concern is not with the viewpoints expressed in these communications. Residents and former officials alike have every right to express opinions about borough matters, including the municipal budget and the actions of this governing body. Open dialogue and constructive criticism are critical components of local government. My concern is whether municipal contact information may have been used in a manner that was not authorized by the borough or consistent with the purpose for which that information was collected. I want to be clear, the current administration did not provide access to any municipal email distribution lists for these communications. Accordingly, I have referred this matter to Borough Council for review, and I have requested that our information technology professionals examine whether municipal data or systems were involved, and if so, how such information may have been accessed. Protecting resident information is a responsibility we take seriously. Our residents must be confident that when they provide personal information to the borough, it will be handled responsibly, securely, and in accordance with applicable laws and policies. We are committed to maintaining that trust and will take any appropriate steps necessary to safeguard borough data and protect resident privacy. I was forced to create this statement because we've received, and I personally have received complaints. I know my council colleagues have received complaints. I've had my own personal relatives that do not live in Bradley Beach that received these emails, and they called and said, where are these emails coming from? So it's very important that everyone understand the borough was unaware of this, and we will now take any and all actions we can to determine if there were any breaches in our security. So that said, let us move on to item 5 on our agenda, which is workshops. And this is to be a presentation or a discussion rather on the Municipal Park Improvement Grant public hearing by Mr. Ben Malek from Raytheon. Ben?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And I'm just waiting for a PowerPoint to pop up. There you go. Perfect. Thank you, Tommy. Here to talk about a grant application that we are applying for to Monmouth County. It's for a municipal park improvement grant. We're actually applying for two grants. One for Bradley Beach, one for Alton, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. The project generally consists of park expansion of the Sylvan Lake Park. So similar to the Sylvan Lake Bulkhead project, where the roadway width is being narrowed to allow for the living shoreline and installation of a walking path. Similar improvements in this section, starting at Madison Avenue, going all the way to Main Street, for installation of the walking path, landscaping improvements, benches, things like that, including narrowing of the road to a still manageable 44 feet, which is allowable for two-way traffic, parking on the north side, and bike lanes in the road. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a one-to-one matching grant or 50-50 matching grant. And the borough is eligible for up to $500,000 in grant funds from the county. So that would mean that you would have to spend, you'd have to have a $1 million project to be eligible for that $500,000. So projects that are eligible under this grant application: parks, recreation, open space, historic preservation, new facilities or improving existing facilities, and dredging of a lake, for example, to improve and expand access to recreational areas. Also eligible under this grant application. Next slide. So as I mentioned, there are two components to this. So the one component is the expansion of the Sylvan Lake Park. The other is capturing sediment from, we'll call it the county outfall, which is drainage from Neptune City that comes from Memorial Drive and drains into Sylvan Lake. That's the majority of the drainage area that drains into Sylvan Lake. It actually goes through a pipe that is located on an Avon parcel of property on the other side of Main Street. And it's with that parcel that we intend to put a sediment filtration device. So this is the area right here where that parcel is located. The next slide. This is the area along Sylvan Lake, along Bradley Boulevard, near Main Street, where we are looking to expand the green space, install a walkway, and replace some landscaping, put in some new benches, trash receptacles, things like that. Next slide. So this is showing a conceptual layout of the proposed improvements. On the left side there at the top, in the bottom left corner, you can see where it says Borough of Avon by the Sea. That's the area where the large sediment filtration device is going to be located. And then along Bradley Boulevard, Bradley Beach also has several stormwater pipes that discharge stormwater into the lake. So we're also going to be looking to put smaller sediment filtration devices along Bradley Boulevard as well to capture that sediment before it enters the lake. This is very, very much in line with the dredging aspect of what the park improvement grant participates in. So we feel that is a necessary component to the overall beautification program of Sylvan Lake. In kind of in green there, you can see, street trees along the way. You've got the walking path that, will be a pervious path similar to, or matching the, proposed path that we are going to be having, at the Sylvan Lake Bulkhead project on the east side of the lake. And then, next slide. So I talked about the installation of sediment filtration devices, one larger device on the Avon parcel, 8 smaller ones along Bradley Boulevard. The reduction in pavement width of Bradley Boulevard, the pervious walkway, street trees, benches, other small amenities. The approximate construction cost estimates for each municipality are there. Bradley Beach about $1.2 million, Avon about $1 million, which would allow each municipality to be eligible for that 50-50 match up to the maximum $500,000. So that is the objective. That's the grant application we'll be submitting. Grants are typically awarded in the fall. So we're anticipating around October of 2026 award of the grants. Then we could begin design and complete that, as well as any necessary permitting, probably in spring to summer of 2027, and then construction would take place likely in fall of 2027.
All right,
And that's all I have, unless the council has any questions.
thank you, Ben. Questions from the council?
You had mentioned the street trees. I know there's a lot of trees. Some of them are not in great shape along the lake. Will all that construction require the removal of all the trees that are there?
We would evaluate that during the design process. It's possible we could save some trees if they're in good shape, they're healthy, they're valuable to save, valuable species. We would likely want to save those trees. If it's something that is not the healthiest tree, we may want to take that down, replace it with something that's more in character with the area, maybe kind of matching what we would we'll be doing on the eastern end of the lake. But that'll be during the design process. We'll make that about determination and of course solicit any input from the Shade Tree Commission.
And Mitch, I don't know if you're aware that the Shade Tree Commission did plant from Main Street down to, probably about maybe 500 feet of maybe a dozen trees already.
Right.
So those would be outside the construction area. They would not be impacted.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether or not there would be, the need to, they're in the wrong spot.
Yeah, no,
For
they
the
would,
construction that we're
they
doing.
would supplement those
Right.
further down, and then, the other project that's going to construction. With the wall replacement, there's tree planting that's going in there, so this grant will basically bridge any other tree planting that would be required. Or maybe we get trees again, through the tree commission and not have to pay for them and be able to reduce the cost of construction down to that $1 million. And I think the other thing that's kind of interesting here is that there is a tie between these two projects of the job that's going to begin construction here this summer, between Madison and Ocean Avenue, that there may be an opportunity to get that construction cost down by looking at those limits and being able to organize that and get that cost so that we are within that $1 million, 500. So that's something that I believe you were looking at. But.
Yeah, it's kind of there. We have a lot of projects going on in town, a lot of kind of juggling a lot of balls, but we have some. We got favorable bids for our recent projects for the Sylvan Lake Bulkhead. And so we have additional grant money to spare, so to speak. So we're looking at options of how we can utilize the grant money to the maximum extent possible. Some of that may be some of these manufactured the sediment filtration devices or extension of other improvements. within these limits. We're kind of exploring that, getting pricing from the contractor, that's on board right now. And we'll, aim to, utilize that grant to the maximum extent and this grant.
And you mentioned the word dredging when you were speaking to this grant.
Yes.
But, and the context of that was, correct me if I'm wrong, is capturing the sediments before it gets into the lake. And just to clarify, this does not include actual dredging of the lake.
Correct.
And although you can use grant money to do that, my understanding is, but at $500,000 matching, that is not enough to do the dredging project for Sylvan Lake. And we're looking at other programs to see how we can do that. And I think that would be a common question people would ask, well, why not use that money instead of doing the appurtenances, just dredge the lake?
Right, and I know the borough has submitted other grant applications specifically for dredging. And that's more in the several $1 million range, than this grant would be. But like you said, dredging is an eligible, activity under this grant program, but it's just the amount of funding that's available is not enough to do a dredging project for Sylvan Lake. So we're getting creative with other ways to utilize this grant money, to filter out sediment before it enters the lake, instead of pulling that sediment out of the lake after the fact.
Ultimately, we want to do this anyway. Even if we dredge the lake, we need to do this because this
Yes.
minimizes the amount of sediments coming into the lake.
Right,
So instead of compounding the issue, continuing to compound it, this is a mitigation to reduce what's coming to the lake, and we still have to deal with the dredging of the lake.
exactly.
Other comments, questions?
Just real quick, I wanted to follow up with the trees. There were a lot of monoculture there. They did a lot of ash and they fell victim to the emerald ash borer. And now what you see now are the Bradford pears, which are now banned in the state of New Jersey. So there's no great loss there. There are two interesting older, which are London planes. So hopefully we can salvage them. And I did have a question for Ben. The walkway is pervious, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Similar to what they have in Lake Como, I think, around the lake.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the same product that you see there. It's similar to like a track surface, but it's porous, allows water to filter right through it.
Great, thank you.
So the current grant funding for the project upcoming for Sylvan Lake Bulkhead is significantly over 20%. So how do we go about trying to utilize all those funds? Is it, do you bid out additional services?
We're in discussions right now with the NJDOT to explore options of how we can do that. One of the things we're looking at is a utility agreement with JCP&L for upgrading the lighting along Bradley Boulevard. Then we're working with the contractor to see how we can expand the limits of his project, his contract. So those are the things we're looking at, and they have to be approved by the DOT to be eligible for reimbursement.
I think the last thing is also for the funding for the match. There's a potential that we could use iBank
I
money,
was gonna add.
and that would be at 75% of our share of construction at 0% financing interest, 25% at AAA, which would be the cheapest way to borrow money versus just straight up bonding AAA.
For this 1 million too.
That's what we're
Yeah.
looking into also.
Good.
Well, for the 500,000 portion.
Mhm.
Because $500,000 is the county grant.
But isn't it a million too out of
1.2.
Bradley's pocket?
No.
So well, so the slide that was shown up there was the two, the total project cost is 2.2 million. Broken up into 1.2 for Bradley Beach, 1 million for Avalon. Each one of those portions of this project is eligible for a $500,000 grant. So up to $1 million could go into this project. And that would come from Monmouth County. The remainder would be the responsibility of both boroughs, so.
So about 700,000 for Bradley and 500,000 for Ava.
Yes, and if, you know, depending on how much grant money is obtained, and, you know, how much funding is available for the borough, we can look to reduce the limits if that's necessary. But that's, we're of course going for the maximum grant value, at this point.
Any other comments or questions for Ben? Okay, so I'm gonna make a quick comment just for, hopefully for the benefit of the public, but the Borough of Bradley Beach has been talking about trying to dredge Sylvan Lake for probably 20 years. Well, long before I came along and joined the council 6 years ago. And what you're hearing, you're not hearing that yet, that we're talking about dredging the lake. We will get to that. That is 100% on our radar. We have, as Ben mentioned, submitted applications for grant funding for dredging. But what you're really hearing us talk about now, we're preparing the lake to be dredged. Because it'd be silly to dredge the lake before you have these siltation treatment devices in place, right? You take out all the siltation, well, if you don't have these treatment, devices in place, more siltation comes in. So whether it be the work we're doing on the bulkhead and the work you've seen us doing over the past year with outfall pipe and gate and everything, we are preparing Sylvan Lake, and the final straw to restoring that lake, once we do all this other stuff, is going to be dredging. So it's an exciting time, I think, for Bradley. It's a very expensive process, as you hear all the different numbers we throw out. Tonight's a relatively small, as grant funding goes, 500,000 for Bradley, 500,000 for Avon. Those are relatively small amounts compared, for example, to the bulkhead. Less than half of the bulkhead, over $2 million of grant funding available. And other work we've done, the outfall pipe, close to $4 million. So there's very significant expenditures already underway, with more to come. And this governing body is doing everything we can to secure grant funding from a lot of different places with the help of our engineers. So I think we're making great strides. Still a lot more to go, but I want to make sure everybody understood the big picture as well. Okay, Ben, thank you for that. Before we move to voting for the resolution, because normally we give the public a chance to comment on the agenda, I am going to make a motion that we open it up to the public to let them ask questions or comment before we vote. So with that said, I make a motion to open it up to the public.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatoza?
Yes. Public comments or questions about the project that Mr. Malek outlined? Yes, sir. Mr. Fairback.
Good evening, Greg Fahrenbach, 408 Bradley Boulevard. 3 years ago, there were discussions with Paul Lights of the county regarding the ability to use these funds that you're searching under this application for dredging of the lake. And at that time, the thought was that if you did 2 applications back to back, the cost to the 2 municipalities would be $1 million over 2 years, and the cost to the county would be $2 million over that period, having $4 million to be able to do the sedimentation removal. The proposal that has been presented to you this evening includes sediment control filtration. That has been a high priority of every meeting I've attended and of the private discussions I've had with members of the Sylvan Lake Commission. What has not been a high priority of those that I've spoken to are the sort of cosmetic improvements along Bradley Boulevard. If any of you have ever been in the lake, if any of you have ever had an oar go into the sediment in that lake and gotten a chance to be able to smell the scent that is given off by the sediment, I think all of you would be much more interested in seeing the sediment removal than the cosmetic improvements. And that is generally the feeling of anybody I've spoken to. And it seems as if we're losing another year of being able to put that $4 million package together for the purposes of spending some of those funds on cosmetic improvements.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, seeing no other comments or questions, I'll make a motion that we vote to approve resolution 2026-166.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. All right, we'll move on to our public hearing on the introduced municipal budget. Let's see, just looking through the process here. Okay, so we're going to want, so first of all, our CFO has joined us. Mitch, I believe you will be making a brief presentation and then we'll open it up to the public for a hearing. Mr. Simon, is that? Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Well, the part of the presentation I was going to go over was the amendment portion. So,
Right.
I thought we'd wait till we get past the amendment portion to bring that up, so.
Okay, with the amendment portion,
Here's the one. Which should be after the motion.
yeah. Okay, but I thought you would make a presentation before we opened it up to the public, so they would have an opportunity to ask questions. Procedurally, I just want to make sure I'm moving forward correctly.
I really, I mean, the presentation I prepared some amendments, so I can I can pull that up and go over a couple things, but.
Yeah,
But just be a repeat of what we went over in the.
Okay, so, Mr. Cannon, maybe you can help me procedurally on this. But our agenda is, item 6 is public hearing on the introduced municipal budget. First bullet under that is motion and second to open the public hearing on the budget amendment to the introduced municipal budget, receive public comments and questions. So we can certainly make that motion to open it to the public, but is the public going to have much of an opportunity to ask questions if we have not yet shared information with them?
I don't know what you shared. If we've introduced the budget, have we not? We're having a hearing. So a month
Yeah,
ago,
I'm
you guys
talking
published
about
the introduced
Budget
budget.
amendments. Budget.
So the first part is on the introduced budget that you did about a month ago.
Mhm.
So that's what the public comment would be on. And then after that is the amendment to it.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely have to hold the hearing for the amendment.
Okay, okay,
Whether you want to like give an overview or something before the public gets at the top. I don't know how many people like pulled the introduced budget offline and looked at it. Some might have.
yeah, no, some have for sure, yeah.
But
Okay, yeah, we can.
the only
so-
legal requirement is that you open that up first then before you amend it. So, you know.
All right, yeah, our very first bullet says public hearing on the budget amendment. So I just wanted clarity on that, but I'm gonna open it up in a moment for comment on the originally introduced budget, not on the amendments. Correct? Okay, that's right. Thank you, okay. All that said, thank you for bearing with me. I will make a motion that we open the public hearing for comments or questions about the initially introduced budget.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. Audience, yes, Rick.
Rick Bartholomew, 116 Newark. Just had a couple of questions on the initial budget. What's near and dear to my heart, the sewer. I saw that under sheet 32, which was on our website. It had under other expenses, there was a 59% increase over last year. So I'm just wondering where that came from. And the second item was on the debt service, where we're paying $709,000 on the debt service off compared to the new items that weren't on there last year. So those were my two questions. I guess the third question was that I believe when you had the introduction to the budget, you had over 4% increase. Because on the municipal, I forgot what the decimal was afterwards. But does that include also what the county and school would be?
Okay,
So what would be the total number? All in. Those are my questions.
well, I'll take a quick stab at summarizing, but then I'll turn to Mr. Stein, but other expenses, we've been through this to a significant degree, because to your point, it was a very significant increase. Overall, the borough had about a $600,000 or $700,000 increase in healthcare premium alone. That was the largest driver of what you're looking at, which was close to a $300,000 increase in the other expenses. Couple $100,000 of that $700,000 were allocated to the sewer. So
Okay.
that's a huge chunk of it. The debt service, I'll let Mr. Simon explain, because I'm not sure what drove that. And the 4% increase, I can easily answer, it's 4.7, and it's only municipal, does not yet include county or school or anything else.
So will we get that number tonight or no?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Okay.
Mitch, do you
So,
have?
yeah, that's, so the sewer is what you're asking about?
No, it just had municipal debt payable that was 704,000. It was on
Sheet 27.
sheet, number, page 30, sheet 30. I'm sorry, sheet 30, sheet 27. Payment of bond, anticipated notes and capital notes.
Right, I mean, that's as a result of a number of the new projects that we have, that we're doing now. $709,000, and some of that sort of related to the acquisition of that bond anticipation, and a large portion that had to do with the church and was it the demolition? Was that what?
Are we talking about the sewer in particular?
No,
No, the current one, okay. Yeah, I don't have the day in front of me, but it's very
right,
likely.
so this has to do probably with Lorraine's.
That's the, yeah, the largest portion of that is the bond anticipation note payments. There were a number of things that were wrapped up in that bond anticipation note, so it included a bond ordinance that we had in, I believe, 2023. It was the bond ordinance that had the Main Street improvements in it, had the rec center improvements in it, where there was a 50-50 grant split on that. It also had the Sylvan Lake improvements, and that was a really large bond ordinance, which was put in that. So we started doing work on that project, even though the bond ordinance was a few years ago. So much of the debt service is related to that. And then a large portion of the debt service is also related to the church on Green Avenue. And with the debt service related to the church on Lorraine Avenue, we're not going to have that debt service in subsequent years, because we are essentially because we profited on the sale of that property in 2027. We've set aside money in reserve
I remember that.
to pay for that, and with the interest and principal of that, we're looking at about $150,000 just for that. The most of the other stuff was related to the Main Street, the rec center, and the Sylvan Lake.
No, it's just kicked in this year.
Those just kicked in this year. That's
Okay.
correct.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other comments or questions about the introduced budget? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Greg Fahrenbach, 408 Bradley Boulevard. On or about May 25th, I sent the five of you a list of 13 comments and questions regarding the budget. I didn't receive any response from any of the members. I didn't receive a response from the Division of Local Government Services to it either. However, I noticed that 3 or 4 of the errors that I had identified in the budget have been the subject of the amendment. But there are a number of other questions that were in here that I did not get any responses to. You've received those questions May I ask for the responses, or should I go through and ask each one of those questions again?
No, number one, I want to thank you for submitting your questions. That is the purpose of having a 30-day, 28-day period for the public. So thank you for, it was 8 or 10, as I recall. I know Mr. Simon's worked diligently on those, identified a handful of errors that you pointed out, especially on shared services with Neptune Township. He immediately identified to me that that was just an error that we needed to restate.
Well, it was in anticipation of $94,000 in revenue that you'd never received.
Right, because in fact, it's a shared service where we are paying revenue to Neptune
Exactly.
City. So you flagged that immediately. We agreed with you immediately. I was under the impression we were following up with you, and I apologize for not doing so. Mr. Simon, I know you went through that in pretty good depth, Mr. Fehrenbach's letter.
I did.
Are there other, I'm not putting you on the spot a little top of your head, but are there other of his questions that you can help
I'm
address?
actually trying to pull up his email right now. I mean, I did go through each question and I appreciate it, but you pointed out a couple of things that we missed and that we remedied in our amendments. But if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to do my best to answer them.
The first one is, the budget indicates, looking at the three funds, current, sewer, and beach, that there were $606,000 of over expenditures. Why would there have been such a large amount of over expenditures?
The largest driver of those over expenditures was due to retro payments that were made over the course of the year. We did not have enough money in funds in reserve in order to make those payments for the retro pays.
You're familiar with the encumbrance requirement of the Division of Local Government Services, the former Technical Accounting Directive.
Sure.
Under those circumstances, you can't spend money that you haven't appropriated. So how did the administration spend money that they hadn't appropriated?
I wasn't here at the time. I wouldn't say about the time. As you know, I've only been here for 3 months.
But the person you're working with, Ms. Larison, was.
Yeah, she was. So I don't know what kind of controls were in place at the time. Like I said,
Well, apparently
yes.
they weren't in.
So, Mr. Simon, maybe you weren't here, and at least I was here through the transition of CFOs. And Mr. Fehrenbach, I'm sure you're aware from prior audits, every year the borough has had some degree of over expenditure of
Not
appropriation.
to this level. in the
Not to
last
this level,
3 years.
but it happens, is my point.
Yes,
And controls often miss these things.
10,
We-
15, $30,000, $600,000.
In 2025, when the budget was being set, we were only beginning to understand, we, the new council and the new mayor, were only beginning to understand what challenges we inherited from your and Mr. Fox's prior administration. There was a total of over $1 million of expenditures that we had to address. We paid those. We did make that oversight in terms of what reporting should have been done to the DCA. But one way or the other, we had to pay the unions. We had to pay Mr. Hinkson's lawsuit liability. I've got a list of over $1 million of salary and related expenditures that we inherited because they were left open-ended by the prior administration. So to your point, there was a procedural flaw in the process, but the payments had to be made, and we are acknowledging it very transparently. And we've had discussions with the DCA, and they are giving us appropriate guidelines to appropriate funds in this year's budget, which has created quite a number of challenges for us, I must say, for this year, because of the fact that we went through that process last year without having the funding or the approval. So you are correct. Procedurally, we missed. What we were dealing with was an insane amount of inherited expenditures from the prior administration. And I commend us for the job we did, even though, to your point, procedurally, we did not at that time identify to the DCA.
I don't want to go over the same ground again.
Yeah,
I
but you're
think
doing
You
it.
and I need to have a face-to-face. But there were sufficient funds put aside for settlements
No, they were
based
not
on a
sufficient.
sufficient amount being given as opposed to the amounts that were given.
You don't want
And
to
you
go
know
through
about the dispute that existed between you and the previous CFO about what those increases should have been.
The CFO
But
would
you and
not
I
talk.
should have that discussion private.
I'd gladly have this discussion with you. I've said that before, I'll say it again, but you continue to wait to these meetings to come up and address it. You have yet to knock on my door or say, I am available, let's talk. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I've sat down with you already. I've already explained what you call sufficient was very insufficient. I've explained it. When you and I sat in that office, you nodded your head in agreement at that
I
time.
didn't nod it in agreement. I didn't frankly understand what you were trying to explain to me because it didn't make any sense in normal labor relations discussions that take place in New Jersey in the public sector. Let me go on to another question. Social Security appropriations in the three funds are between 23% and 38% higher. Why is that the case?
I know that the salary and wage line items have gone up considerably. Between the 2 years, so
Between 2025 and 2026.
That's correct, so I assume that the largest portion of that is just proportional to the salary and wage increase, which I don't think is I don't think that is 23%, but I will say that we made those calculations based on the salary and wages, so I didn't go back to the previous years and say, oh, okay.
Okay.
What did we spend this year, what we spend this year, I actually did the calculation,
Never-
here are the salary and wages. Here's what social security contribution is like to be based on the salary and wages, and I budgeted accordingly.
In the current fund, 4 appropriations were identified. Administrator's Office, Finance Department, Revenue Administration, where the salaries and wage accounts for those went up $191,250. What was the need for an increase of such a large amount?
Well,
I can
go ahead.
Well, one of the first things is obviously CFO was hired. So that's the largest portion of the expense. So if you look at the salary and wage line item under finance on sheet 12, I believe.
Mhm.
12, 13.
Well, okay, that explains 53,250.
Well,
But what about the
that's not,
65,000?
90,000 of it is that line item, and you'll see that there's accompanying reduction in other expenses.
Mhm.
Because the other expenses, that's where they were paying,
That was the
Prior.
contract for Ms. Larison.
that is correct.
Yes.
So, but we did actually have that line item actually would have come down even more. We actually paid Ms. Larison about $15,000 or $20,000 out of that account already, so we're kind of double paying for it. As far as the other, I think that the other increases is in the general administration. I think there's a large increase in the salary and wages there.
Yes,
A lot of that-
65,000.
A lot of that had to, we revisited some of the allocations that we had in the past, split between the sewer and the beach and the current fund. And it was a policy decision that was made that we were allocating somewhat too large a portion to the utilities, and we brought that back into the current fund. As a result of that change, we actually created additional cap space in our budget as a side, benefit.
Appropriations cap.
Yes, and we're able to modify the appropriations cap based on bringing appropriations that were previously paid for out of the utility funds into the current fund.
Mr. Fehrenbach, I'm sorry, one comment. I just want to acknowledge to the public, I'm intentionally allowing Mr. Fehrenbach to go over, because I think these are important questions for the public to hear, so. Typically, we obviously hold folks to 5 minutes, but again, please continue with your questions.
Thank you very much. Public events increased 187% by 37,400. What changed there?
Yeah, we did talk about that. I'm pretty sure that we were previously allocating some of the costs out of operating expenses out of various line items, and we decided to reallocate some of this funds out of just a specific dedicated fund for public events. So I don't think that so much as an increase in spending, for public events. I think it's more that we, grouped most of those expenditures within those line items. There probably is somewhat of an expense, I know there are some additional expenses related to, we're spending a little bit more this year with the 250th anniversary. I know there are some expenditures increases related to that as well. Because I think there's an $18,000 fireworks display, I know that we didn't have in the prior year budget, for instance.
On sheet 39, it indicates that there was, I'm going to say, a missed payment to the Board of Education in the vicinity of $585,000. Do you know what happened there?
You know what, I saw that myself, I don't know, I don't know, I didn't ask about it, I did see that.
Mayor, do you have any idea?
No, other than you say missed, but it was presumably paid late, or do we have any indications for paid?
It becomes a charge against your surplus for 2026. Essentially a liability that you carried from last year into this year. So it wasn't paid last year, and I guess has to be paid this year. But my own personal experience is that when you're a day late with the Board of Education, you know immediately. So it's not clear to me what happened there, and I thought maybe you or Mr. Doherty or Mr. Syme would know.
Well, I do know that at this point, I don't know what was set up then. I know now that we're actually set up to, I have actually set up, as soon as I get the bill from they send the bill months in advance, how much it owes.
Yes.
And
I remember.
I actually have at this point set up automatic wire transfers coming directly out of our current fund account directly to school. So those are set up. We can't miss those payments. At this, I know we won't miss them this year because they're essentially already set up in a system.
But at least on that particular item, I will follow up with you personally and make sure that we address it.
Okay. Any of the other questions I have, I'll raise later when I get a chance to meet. Thank you for the additional time.
Okay, thank you. Other comments or questions about the initial budget submission? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Klein?
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. I do want to compliment you on that budget because you did have all these hurdles. And I just like to, understand that insufficient funds were left to pay off the employees retroactive and obviously they were insufficient because they were using the amount that they thought the public employees deserved and not the amount that the public employees got. And that's the reason why the whole negotiation took 2.5 years and over $100,000, well over $100,000 paid to the HR attorney who represented the town. Not Mr. Cannon, I want to clarify that. It was someone else who obviously wasn't very good at their job. But to now come back, this gentleman spoke before me to come back and say insufficient amounts were left. They were not left. That is not a factual statement. And the employees were granted the sufficient amounts that they deserved and should have deserved 2.5 years prior. So the hurdles that you jumped are unbelievable. And I can't believe that no one ever said that we had a CFO for a very long time in this building who lost his certification to be a CFO, but yet the people in the public were never informed of that. Nobody was ever informed. I had to call DCA, have a DCA person tell me the reason he's not here is because he lost his certification. So again, the mess that you've had to clean up is amazing. And it really just razzes me that you're having an open, transparent discussion here, which was not something we had under the previous administration when documents were held back, numbers were held back. We weren't allowed to ask Mr. Gartz any questions. I mean, it was a horrible thing. So I do want to compliment you on that. And thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions in the room? Anyone on Zoom? Yes, Linda.
Good evening, Linda Duffy, 312 Brindley. I would like us to move forward and stop going backwards and making a little negative. We don't need to go there again. But I do have a question. I do know you corrected it, but our salaries for the rec department, it's just Courtney, right? Because I do know she has other people working on the other side that have nothing to do with here, correct?
She has counselors that their salaries are included, right? Mr.
Yes, but those are mostly paid out of the recreation trust where user fees to or that people pay to have their children attend.
Yeah, so our camp counselors are paid out of the trust,
They're basically, yes, so the money comes in where people pay for the camp and then the camp counselors are paid.
and so. How do we ever know how much money is generated from the camp?
We
Cause I never really see that kind of stuff on.
we
our-
have that, we have that.
Like it pay, I wanna know what pays for itself, what I'm asking.
It does, if you wanna, we can get you that information.
Oh, it's not that, I just wanna know that it pays for itself.
It actually pays for itself and then some,
The
so.
camp does, the overall rec department doesn't quite pay for itself, but it's paying higher percentage.
16,900 miscellaneous is just like supplies, I guess, things to buy.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that line item.
That actually, we reduced that line, interesting you bring that up. I believe the initial line item was 16,900. We actually reduced it by 10,000 in the amended budget. Given that we were gonna pay for most of those costs out of the trust as opposed to paying them out of the regular operating budget.
So what constitutes paying out of the trust? Like, you have guidelines that you can use for that?
Well, the municipality puts forth a dedication by Biden that says the things that are eligible for purchase with the trust. And that obviously includes camp council salaries, things like, a lot of it is, you know, items for the kids and, but the way that it kind of works is some, you know, the recreation department is a service to the community. And there are some activities where there's essentially a net profit, where you bring in more money than it costs you to run the program. And there's other programs where you bring in almost no money, but it costs more. So at the end of the day, we're trying to get it, you know, create a good balance where most of these programs are paid out of user fees. And as far as where the balance is between, you know, how much revenue we receive from a program versus how much we spend on it, it varies from program to program. But I can speak to the camp, the camp pretty much does pay for itself.
Great, that's all I'd like to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mayor, excuse me, isn't Courtney's position also a shared service?
It is, our rec center director, Courtney Pappas, last year brought an opportunity to the borough that she would work in a kind of dual capacity, serving as our rec director as well as Neptune Cities. And we entered into a shared service agreement with Neptune City that is netting the borough of Bradley Beach an extra $50,000 a year to offset her salary costs. So that went a long way to getting us closer to a break-even overall operating position on the rec department. I think we're still shy 20 grand or so, but we were shy 70, so we're much closer to running break-even overall. Okay, no other questions? Anyone on Zoom? No one that I see? Okay, I will make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second. I'm sorry, who's second? I second.
Shana.
Thank you. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. All right, now we will have the governing body discussion on the budget amendment. Mr. Simon, I believe, now you will be able to walk us through that.
Yes. I don't know, hey, Tom, you hear me? Oh, there we go. I'm fine. Does it, I don't know if it opens up one in this. This is a lot of stuff, a lot of these slides are slides that I gave over in the initial presentation. Not much has really changed. This just kind of goes over the portion of taxes that are paid for the municipals of your tax dollars that go toward municipal tax, school tax, county tax, library tax. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Tommy. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, I mostly just wanted to, there actually was a very, very, very slight change in the, in the, in the, in the tax rate between the amended budget and the initial budget and the amended budget. So, the local tax rate, went from 0.03344. It's that middle line on the left side to 0.3346. So the tax on the average home went up about $2 as a result of that for the year. So it was mostly just kind of a rounding error. So, so that went up, a small amount. But the amount that, and the amount that the average assessed home will pay in additional municipal taxes this year, from between 2025 and 2026 is, just under $160 a year. So that's, the difference in the 2 years. And that's for the average assessed home. Go to the next slide. And on this slide, I went over this slide last time, but we added a few things as far as, one-time expenditures that we're going to utilize the sale of the municipal asset of the church toward. And the two new things that, and the most of the amendments to the budget, it's just kind of moving a little money around here or there. But these were the major changes and I wanted to point those out. So the first one being that there's been a little discussion on how much money was accrued to pay for the retro pay for the salaries that we had to make up. What we actually discovered just in the last month or so is that not only was money not accrued for enough, not only was there not enough money accrued to pay for the retro salaries, but there was basically no money accrued to pay for the pension contribution required by Bradley Beach. And the retro salaries for 2023 and 2024 were about $560,000. So the pension payment that we need to make to the state as a result of that 560,000 is $90,000. So it's a pretty large expense for a small borough. So we consider that effectively to be a one-time expenditure. So we are going to utilize some revenue from that, from the sale of the church, and that's at $90,000 in that second line from the bottom under 2023-2024 retro pension payments. So that's a $90,000 change in the budget that was significant. The second main change is that we budgeted for police radios in the amount of $350,000. Mayor, do you want to speak to the situation where we there might be a grant, it might not be?
Sure.
What we do here?
So our chief of police, sitting, directly to my right, has been adamantly, passionately explaining to me and to our council the desperate situation we as a borough are in terms of our police radios. Basically, and chief, if I get any of this wrong, please correct me, but basically, our radios are old and do not communicate with every other Monmouth County Police Department. So if there is, I'm making this up, but if there is a chase, a pursuit of some sort crossing town lines, we're not even likely to understand that is happening because our radios don't connect to anybody else. We need upgraded radios. And as of a month or two ago, when we were planning our original budget, we were told by our legislators at the state level that we had a pretty good shot at getting grant funding to support the cost of these radios, roughly $350,000. Last week or so, within the last week or two, we are at least beginning to hear rumblings from the governor's office that there may be severe cutbacks in funding. And now all of a sudden we've gone from being probable to being doubtful that we could receive that 350. It's not a foregone conclusion that it's gone, but we're believing now that it's unlikely. And for that reason, given that we have this opportunity to revisit our budgeting for 2026, we're adding a $350,000 line item that if we need to move forward and secure these radios this year, And if there's no other grant funding available, and an alternative would be, what we're doing here is budgeting 350 that we would fund. As we're encouraged to do from the sale of the church, the proceeds from the sale of the church. Capital asset that was sold and we made a profit to use for other capital assets, radios, in fact, our capital assets. We can use those funds. This council has not yet decided if we will, but by budgeting for it, we're able to if we want to. We might still get grant funding. If we get grant funding, this will all just flow through to surplus. We won't spend anything out of our budget. If on the other hand, we decide to do a bonding, some sort of take out some sort of debt for that 350. I don't know what the useful life of radios is, 5 or 7 years, but we could spread that cost, say, over 5 or 7 years. That will be another option for the council to consider. In that case, once again, we would not spend the full 350. So we may spend none of the 350. We may want to bond for that and spend a portion of the 350 each over, 7 or so years. Or we'll have the option, once the council has the time to evaluate the alternatives, to spend the full 350 out of the church proceeds. But I think what we're all agreed upon is we haven't figured out how we're going to fund it, but we want to make sure we have the ability to fund it, because we really don't see our police department being able to operate without upgraded radios much longer than they already have. And Chief, can I ask you to speak to that as well, just to give everyone a
Yeah,
sense?
sure, no problem. So I have voiced to the governing body, that there is a safety issue. So the mayor's correct that our officers are not capable of communicating with any town surrounding us or in Monmouth County. So we are, if not the last, one of the last towns utilizing VHF radio, which is essentially a thing of the past. Everybody is on digital now. A lot of it's being ran out of Monmouth County or on a state line. So Belmar, I believe, was one of the last next to us. They just went through a whole radio project. I think they're just about to hit the switch, if they haven't already, to go digital. The cost for them was a little over $500,000. We're looking to secure around 350. We've gotten estimates for all the equipment, our infrastructure, the police cars, your handheld radios, and it would also be able to provide handheld radios to, fire, first aid, our lifeguards, as well as OEM. So there's a major safety concern, and not only can we not speak with anybody in the area, VHF is very susceptible to modern, technology. It can be interrupted very easily by Wi-Fi, cell phones and computers. It's just, even within our town, only being, close to a square mile, there is constant interruptions where the officers are not even able to communicate with dispatch, which is another major safety concern. They're inside buildings or down at the beachfront, and they are not able to communicate. It's just not making it to dispatch. We've had Motorola as our radio company. They've come out and tested our antennas, everything, so on and so forth. It's just VHF is a thing of the past, and it's easily interrupted. So it's a major problem. It's a big safety concern. That's why I voiced it to the governing body to see if there's something we could do moving forward.
You mentioned that it's also for fire EMS as well, because I know I've heard the same similar types where they're unable to communicate with nearby towns, the county.
Right. So, we obviously dispatch fire and first aid. And once they get to the scene, they are communicating through our dispatch, so again, there's problems there as well. So there's a serious safety concern, and I think we've put it off for too long. There's been some governing bodies in the past that just kind of said it was too expensive, but it's really becoming a major safety concern, and officers are documenting it, multiple times a week that they weren't able to communicate to dispatch, whether it's on a traffic stop, whether at a fire call, on the beachfront, whatever it may be, but there is a concern there.
Thank you, chief.
Yeah, Mayor, I think the best analogy is the police department is working with black and white TVs. That's the technology they have, right?
So this is one of the challenges of governing body managing a municipality. Stuff comes at you from left field sometimes, and this is an example that we, the current council at least, did not fully appreciate it until Chief Arnold brought it to our attention earlier this year. And even at that time, our goal is to not spend taxpayer money. Even at that time, we immediately reached out to our legislators, state, federal, where can we find funding? And the short answer was, we thought we had it. Now we're not so sure, as I mentioned earlier. So we need to make sure we have an option to make sure our police have the equipment they need.
The mayor could just add, and this is not, like I said, I've been going through getting costs, estimates for radios, consoles. This is not something we're just like, hey, just whatever it costs, I sat there with every vendor and I even brought, Belmar over to look and see if there's some equipment that's currently in our infrastructure, if we could utilize some of that going forward, and there is, so. I definitely, like I said, Belmar was over $500,000. There is some costs that were cut, because there is some equipment we can use.
Thank you, chief.
The cost down.
We'll try to get you up the black and white TVs as soon as we can. Other comments or questions? Where are we? Back to you, Mitch.
Yeah.
That's where we're.
Yeah, so I was gonna bring up, I don't have it on the slide, but the other, like I said, these are the main changes in the budget. The other changes, we budgeted, in general administration, we budgeted an extra $40,000 from the introduced budget to this amendment, because we hired a grant writer to talk about we've been kind of talking about grants that we're looking at, so we have a grant writer that's gonna hopefully help us secure some of this funding that we're talking about now. So we added funds to that line item. We also, which was come up before, that was brought up, we, because of the shared service with Neptune City for recreation, we're able to reduce the salary and wage line item in recreation, from $55,000 to $25,000. So we saved $30,000 there. And, it's really, we allocated a small amount more toward buildings and grounds for salary and wages too. Just as a result of staffing changes that we made there. Everything else is pretty minor.
And as you pointed out, the changes from this version of the budget to the prior is a couple dollars a year per
Right,
average.
as far as impacting the local taxes, $2 a year.
Which is still roughly that same 4.7, whatever that.
It's still 4.7,
6 or 5.
7, 8 or 7, 9%, I believe, so.
Okay.
Yeah, Tommy, if you could go to the next slide, I think, and then the slide after that, maybe. Keep going. Yeah, this is just information, obviously the budget hearing amendment resolutions is this evening. Tomorrow we will post, the amendments to the amended budget to the, website where everyone can take a look at it. Then, on June 30th, we're planning to have a special, meeting where I think the only thing on the agenda will be the adoption of the budget. So that will be on June 30th. And, if you have questions, my email's there. So I don't know if anybody else has any questions or anything else to add.
Council, any other comments or questions?
Thanks again, Mitch.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Simon, appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna do the unusual thing of opening up to the public one more time. I know you're just hearing this stuff for the first time, but are there any questions about anything you heard regarding the amendments that we just discussed?
Officially.
I'll make a motion that we open it up to the public.
Second.
Mrs. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubitosi?
Yes. Public, any comments or questions about this most recent discussion, Mr. Cohen?
Sure, I appreciate, Thomas J. Colan, 612 Third Avenue. Mr. Singh, I appreciate you breaking out the one-time only items out of that proceeds of the church. It's very important for the public to see that, and I think it's a really important factor in terms of what you're doing. I really appreciate in the adjustments that were made, the 200,000 for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund was not included in the first presentation. But now it is in this worksheet that you presented, and I really appreciate that. And I was wondering, I wanted to ask Mr. Doherty, now that once this budget is approved and that 200,000 is set aside, is there any way we could contact Fair Share Housing, maybe a letter from you, to say that we've done it, because it is part of our affordable housing plan, and I want to let them know that we are following our obligation as presented. And hopefully we have applications coming up this year that should give us more units and show that we've met our responsibilities to the state. But I think if we now that this is out there in the public, we let them know. Yes, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? Yes, Ms. Meadow.
Nancy Meadow, Ocean Park condominiums. Leave you sitting here enough, or get your questions. But I'm seeking clarification. Because I see that on this sheet. We are talking 14 million in expenditures. Our fire department is volunteer. Are they paid or unpaid volunteers?
They're unpaid volunteers, but we do pay for a lot of their equipment and
Okay,
activity.
so I'm just curious if you could clarify. It says salary under, like midway down the page. Fire Prevention Bureau salary and wages is going from 12,000 to 32,000. Again, it's spit in the bucket when you're talking 14 million.
Yeah.
But that's not equipment, that's not,
It's not fire department either.
okay. what
We
is
we
it?
have a fire inspector that we hired.
No, this is for the fire marshal, actually. Is what
Fire
it's-
marshal, but it's not the fire department. so.
That's correct.
Okay, so you're saying it's more like.
It's an individual
a
that,
Building across the street kind of thing.
yes,
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
sure.
If I could point out that the reason why there was that budget change is that, in the previous version of the budget, the allocation for the salary of the fire, there was some confusion. The fire marshal, they kind of had the fire marshal under the fire inspection budget line item. That was incorrect, and we put it in a total portion budget, so that was more of moving of money than an increase. That makes sense.
Mayor, maybe prudent just to comment that the amount of work that our CFO, Simon, has done to organize the accounting. To be able to better budget all these things, and I know when I'm dealing with the capital improvements. The history over the last 5 years, stuff is all in different places, and the amount of effort to try to straighten, and I think that a lot of that, what people are hearing. Like this one in particular here, in the accounting system, things are not necessarily where they should be or could, should have been. And so there is a lot of trying to straighten out and look at the accounting and understand where the numbers are and what accounts are being charged to and were they done appropriately.
Yeah, it's funny because I want to just echo what you said, Paul, and that is that Mr. Simon, brand new to us, number one, a full-time CFO. And anyone working in the borough, anyone up here on this council knows that we were long overdue. We needed a full-time CFO. We welcome Mr. Simon with open arms. And I sometimes hope and worry that he regrets accepting our job offer. Because daily he comes to me and identifies, accounting that has been incorrect for years. He's making adjustments that go back to 1920 and 1921 and 22 and certain bond ordinances and so forth. Dollars that were just allocated to the wrong buckets. It's a significant cleanup process, but I'm very thankful. I think this governing body is very thankful that we have a full-time CFO. Because what I've learned personally, when you have shared services, it looks great. You save money. you know, you're paying less for a shared service than you would for a full-time employee with benefits. However, shared services, what I've learned, they're very talented, smart people, but they do what they have to do to get the accounting done and the budget forms filled in. But they don't spend a lot of time correcting flawed controls, updating system. We've got a admin system that hadn't been reconciled to our formal accounting for years. Edmonds would give us totals that were $8 and $9 million, but our budget was 11 and 12 million. I mean, it was off by $2 and $3 million because no one had been updating Edmonds for years. So it's taking time, but Mr. Simon's leading the charge here, and we all appreciate your efforts, Mitch. So thank you. Other comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, Jerry Fragetti. Just give Jerry Fragetti, I'm at 405 Note. First, Chief, I'd like to commend you and the police officers for doing such a phenomenal job working in such what you would call archaic system that you're currently working. And I'd hate to see a situation where we have to wait for something to happen. And then we think, oh God, why didn't we do it last year or whatever, and we have to second guess ourselves. About how long will that, if that was approved today, about how long, Chief, would you think it would take to put into place? Just curious, a rough estimate.
2 months the most?
2 months?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just gonna ask the board. If that was approved today, or could it be approved today? Obviously contingent on the fact that if we can get a grant, we get a grant, but at least it puts it in motion. So we don't have to wait for the new governor, the new administration to play around with whatever they're gonna do in Trenton, and it may or may not happen. And we may have to wait months for that. Can it be done where we can put it into effect? And if we get the grant, then it's done, but at least we know we have it taken care of.
The short answer is no, we can't do it today because we don't have the budget. Once we approve this budget.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so, well, I'm being
Tomorrow.
too literal, yeah.
Yeah.
Once the budget is adopted, we'll be in a position that we could approve it, and then the question will just become, what's the most efficient combination of spending? So we all know, I think I can speak for the governing body, we all know how critical this is to the police.
Mhm.
What we don't know is what's the best way to finance it. One, if we can get grant funding, that's the best.
Sure.
But if that doesn't materialize quickly, we got to give that a little time. If that doesn't materialize pretty quickly, then we'll have to just look at what are the underwriting costs for the bonding? What's the interest for the bonding? How many years can we spread the useful life? And we'll look at spend $350 right up front and get it done with proceeds from the church. Or do we bond, spread it over, spend the cost over 7 years, maintain the church proceeds for other capital expenditures? And we'll look at that shortly. So we're not talking about dragging this out for months, but it could be 1 month or two.
Is there any ramification for spending the money and then applying, getting a grant?
You can, yeah. Once you spend it, you can't.
Right.
you can't apply for the
So
grant.
that's
Unfortunately, this will not reimburse.
Right, so that's the challenge that we'll face is.
Have to wait.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just please. Sir?
Sure.
Jerry?
What's your address? I'm sorry, I'm 405 Note.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Any other comments or questions about the amendments? No? Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. All right, I will make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-167, introducing the municipal budget amendment introduction.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. Thank you all for going through that with us. Hopefully we can now move fairly quickly through the rest of the agenda. Item 7, presentations and bids. There are none. Item 8, approval of minutes from the June 4th, 2026 council business meeting minutes.
Second.
No, someone has
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Mr. Noble?
I will abstain since I was not here.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Abstain. I also was not here. Okay, now we're item 9 on the agenda, which is public comments or questions pertaining to anything on the agenda. If you have comments or questions outside of anything on the agenda, you'll have to wait until the end of the meeting. Comments or questions? Yes, sir. I had a feeling somebody was gonna have a comment.
Okay, I'm all new to this. My name's Mark Freeman, 315 Brimley Avenue. Been a resident for over 30 years. I've just seen nothing but increase in all the just camaraderie and just the wealth of just positiveness in this town since I've been here. So thank you all for contributing to that. Again, my first meeting here, so I'm not sure what the actually protocol is, other than there's an item on here about Darcy's.
Yes.
And you can see him wearing a soccer shirt, yeah, soccer fan, family, friends, neighbors and all that. And the part where it says granting permission to 12:30 AM. I'd like to see that, or I don't know if that's appropriate, but I'd like to see something like that happen. Cause just with all the family, friends, neighbors, people outside of the town. I know Darcy's, they put on, well, actually, Granite Beach did, the kickoff for the World Cup. Anyone there? Yeah, all right. Darcy's was there. My daughter's soccer team was also there. They were represented. She plays for Holbridge. She plays for like 4 different teams, but Bradley Beach did an outstanding job recognizing her and her team. So I'm just excited for soccer being here. It's a once in a lifetime, getting it all here. So I'd like to, see whatever's needed for them to have the permission.
Thank you
Is
for
that
your
it? I guess that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't realize these meetings go that long, and I give you guys all credit. It's,
Thanks for that. Yeah.
I just thought I'd be up in 5 minutes and I'll be out. I'm missing the 6 o'clock game, but that's okay.
You picked the budget meeting.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
You got it.
Mr. Vanel. Councilman. Former council.
Recovering.
What's the council?
Randy Bell, 506 Third Avenue, Bradley Beach. Hey, Eric. This is real simple. Darcy's has been partner of the town for 20 years now. Every time we ask something from them, good. It's time for us to be that partner for them. And I think you got a typo. It says June 14th.
There's two.
No, there's two.
There's two of them,
One
yeah.
is a, what do you guys call it?
Retroactive.
A
Retroactive.
retroactive,
okay,
yeah.
and this one is for the
Look at them like.
24.
The other one should say June 25th.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, we're doing that one too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Yes. Lisa.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here about the Darcy's resolution, the 2026-1812 as well. My name is Lisa. I reside at 621 4th Avenue. My backyard is 10 from the back door of Darcy's. I'm here as with my neighbor just said, and my other neighbor. I'm in full support of letting them have their TVs go on to 12:30. I will hear them. I will go the yells and the screams. But that's okay, I'll have a tired day next at work. I love the excitement. I love the energy it brings to our town. I love also listening to when they have live music. I can sit on my porch for free and listen to it as well. So as being a direct neighbor adjacent, I've owned and resided in that house for the same 20 years as Darcy's has been there. So I'm in full support of this resolution as being a direct neighbor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Ms. Meadow?
Okay, I'm the lone dissenter, apparently. Speaking especially against 180 and 181 if there's time. And I know how you all are gonna vote, because we've been doing this before with several establishments. I normally stay out of things that are south of Ridley. It's not my party town, really none of my business. They know what's best for them. Stay out of my business north of Ridley. I know what's best for us. I looked on the website to try to find the form that one would submit to keeping their business open till 2:30 in the morning. I didn't find it. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I didn't find it. I also looked under the ordinances to see the time frame that is allowed for submitting something to be placed on the agenda. I did not find that either. So I'm gonna say, either get your acts together and figure this all out and make it easily available, or stick to the process that's there that I did not see. But to constantly grant exceptions does not sit well with me. Maybe it's because I'm a Virgo, I don't know. You set a precedent every time you do this. In my opinion, for June 14th, it should have been shut down. We have law enforcement. There was no permit, it was not there. I'm tired of hearing things are under the discretion of the police department. How lovely that you want to give them some safety equipment, because you don't want to respond after an accident, after they need the equipment. I don't even want to discuss one-way streets, do not enter, because there's nothing that is done, at least in my end of the town. So again, I know your positions on all of this, you've stated it all before. But not everyone wants to support this. And more importantly, where is your structure? Where are you following the process? And that is the bigger picture, because this particular business, as well as others, it's not really unique to them, are gonna come back again and again and always ask for exceptions. And you're gonna have to do something retroactive. It's not right. It's not what you're there for. So while you're trying to straighten other things out, and I do recognize those efforts, there's other efforts where your energy can be placed. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to help you navigate a little, if you search special events, we do have a form, so I don't know why you couldn't find it.
Again, I said I didn't see, I didn't say it wasn't there.
But there is process, for everyone else listening, there is process and procedure. We'll connect you to it.
I just want a new website.
Understood, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is Kevin Judge. I'm a partner at Darcy's Tavern. I live in Wall. Hope you can hold that against me. So I first want to thank you for not only approving last Saturday, but also considering our request for extending the outside outdoor on the 25th. I'd also like to thank the residents who came here and took time out of their day to support us. And for those who are in opposition, we understand the concern. So, to the council, we're just hopeful that, similar to, Governor Sherrill, who's kind of recognized that the World Cup in the US is kind of like a once in a lifetime thing. And so, she's willing to, make some concessions to support, New Jersey businesses. And we're just thankful and appreciative and hopeful that you'll also consider, some of our special requests, during this short period of time. So thank you. And I will also add that whatever the decision is, Darcy's will be in full compliance. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other hands, any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 10 on the agenda, which are ordinances, and there are none. Item 11, communications, there are none. Item 12, resolutions. We have a number of consent agenda resolutions. Does anyone on the council want to vote out any of those or discuss any of those separately?
I just want to make a comment. I went over with Erica before the meeting. The 2026-169 for Mary's Place by the Sea, they start their walk at 7:30 a.m. and they have agreed, they know that they can't make noise until 8. And they are going to respect our ordinance of that, so they won't disturb people at 7:30 on a Saturday morning.
But 8 a.m. they can crank the music.
They can't crank it, you know, respectful, yes, because I'm sure people, they have not, they've been very good. They've been here in the past. And they're reminded every year that, you know, keep it down and start at 8 o'clock with any type of.
And they're coming down, they're not stationed here, so they're starting in Ocean Grove.
Yeah, they start in Ocean
Right.
Grove, they
Right.
pass through
And they're
Rath,
going
turn
back to
around,
Ocean Grove.
wherever they end up and then turn around and go back the other way.
Yeah,
Okay, any other comments or questions about the consent agenda?
we're good.
In that case, I'll make a motion that we approve consent agenda resolution items 2026-168 through 2026-173.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Cart?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes.
You know, when you weren't here,
yes.
other people actually got the seconds of the.
Okay, we'll take turns. Shauna, you're next.
Which is at the end of the line. All right, individual resolution 2026-174. This is approving a block party on the 300 block of Third Avenue for Saturday, July 11th, with a rain date of Saturday, August 1st, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Any comments or questions?
Isn't this in conflict with the Monmouth County, Monmouth new one?
It is, and some people are gonna have to make a choice as to which one.
Okay.
Yeah, I did check with the chief to make sure that it was okay.
Yeah, it's
We
all
had them
good.
on the same.
It's all good.
Am I allowed to vote on this if I'm invited and I live on Third Avenue?
Sure.
I can't make it to the party, but I can vote on it.
The probably shouldn't vote for a block.
I'm not within 200 feet.
Well, you're.
I'll
but-
abstain,
But
yeah.
what about,
I won't be able to vote. either.
No, that's okay. We have three other people.
My block.
That's why I didn't put it on.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna have a couple of abstentions, but I'm gonna make a motion.
I'll be
that
sending you invitations.
we- I make a motion, we approve 2026-174 for the block party.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
I'll abstain since I live on Third Avenue. Yeah.
Ms. Greenblatt?
yes,
Mr. Cart?
Abstain.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. 2026-175, authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement with the County of Monmouth for Public Safety Answering Point, PSAP 911. Chief, this is something we've had in place already.
Yeah, every 3 years.
Yeah, it's like a 4-year contract, I think. All right, any comments or questions? Make a motion to approve 2026-175.
second,
Mr. Noble? Ms.
Yes.
Greenblatt?
yes.
Mr. Cart?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. Mr. Nowicki, would you like to lead the next item?
Sure, 2026-176, authorizing award proposed for professional services with Artheon, formerly CME Associates, for the Promenade Extension Phase 1. So we just recently took bids, we awarded the contract for the Promenade Extension, which is extending the promenade from Third Avenue to Second Avenue. Construction will begin sometime after 4th of July. We're waiting for that information from the contractor that developed the schedule. And he'll be sharing a lot of communications with the borough, significant communications, mailings, QR codes on the boardwalk. Keeping everybody posted on what is happening between Second and Third Avenues when this construction begins. So there's gonna be plenty of notice, and we're gonna try to minimize those disruptions the best that we can. And we're looking at options of how to do that and working with the contractor. So what this particular resolution is for Artheon to do the construction management inspection work and support of the communications, et cetera, for this project during construction. They did the design, this is the construction phase. So I would like to make a motion to approve 2026-176 for the authorizing award proposal for professional services to Artheon.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
I would also just like to point out that it's critical to educate the badge checkers, because they're not aware of what's going on and they've already started asking.
Yeah, there's a whole communications plan that's being done for all municipal, not just the beach, police, emergency, OEM, administration, so everybody's informed of what's going on.
Okay,
We're also gonna have a QR code so
Right.
people can scan it and can see the plans and see what's
Right.
happening when.
right. Well, they're, the only reason I'm pointing that out is that they're the point of contact with the
Yes.
public and they've already started asking that they just simply don't know. But my vote is yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
And before I vote, I just, to Ms. Greenblatt's point, it's, some of them do know, because Sean Heater is our beach manager and he's been sharing with them, but he can only share what he knows, and it's up to us to get them that information. That announcement with a lot of the detail, our plan is to get it out tomorrow.
Right.
But he has had preliminary conversations. I vote yes. All right, Mr. Nowicki, you're on a roll. You want to continue further?
Yes, resolution 2026-177, authorization to award the Ocean Park Avenue sanitary sewer improvements phase 1 to Fernandez Construction. There's actually two different construction contracts. This is the first of the two. So Ocean Park is going to be reconstructed between Ocean Avenue and Madison. We were having a lot of problems with this section. If people recall, last summer, it's a lot of backups, a lot of issues. We had to do a temporary replacement of manholes and to undo clogs in the main line, collapses. So we did that. This is the first section of the overall program that we've gotten through the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank that we've been talking about now for a year. And so this is the first contract to award that construction. This construction will not begin until after Labor Day. We're awarding the contract, but we're not going to begin construction until after the high season. We have enough going on in town with the promenade extension, and we don't need to disrupt the sewer work. So we're going to wait till after Labor Day to begin this work. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the award of Ocean Park sanitary sewer improvements phase 1 to Fernandez Construction.
Second.
Which is
Mr. Noble?
177.
177.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
I also just want to point out that the cost for this of $955,000, almost $956,000 will be covered and not coming out of Bradley Beach's pockets, because it's the principal forgiveness, a $2 million principal forgiveness. So that's going to cover both 177 and 178 for Fifth Avenue and Park Place.
Yes.
So that's a critical.
And that's
component.
very important. Enough that for you to say, because you were instrumental in helping us find that.
Yes, right, and yes, let's go for, oh,
Yes.
I did have one other comment. So we're awarding both of these to Fernandez. Well, they have two separate teams and the work will not slow down because they're gonna be working.
We would be working that out with them, but yes, they say they have the capacity to do both.
Okay.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes.
And resolution 2026-178, authorization to award the Fifth Avenue and Park Place sanitary sewer improvements phase 2 to Fernandez Construction. Phase 1 of Fifth Avenue was down to Madison from Main Street. That work was just recently completed, repaved this spring. This is the completion of Fifth Avenue from Madison to Ocean Avenue. And one additional block of Park Place. About 3 years ago, a section of Park Place was done. And so what we have is enough money in this principal forgiveness of the infrastructure bank. And so we wanted to maximize that 2 million this fiscal year, which ends July 1st. So we've incorporated those two blocks from Madison to Ocean Avenue and Fifth Avenue and one block of Park Place. And this work also will be done after September. It is also with Fernandez, as Councilwoman Greenblatt points out. And that, yes, they were the low bidder on both contracts, and they've done the other work on Fifth Avenue. We're very happy with their work, and so I'd like to make a motion to approve the award of the Fifth Avenue Park Place sanitary improvements to phase 2 to Fernandez Construction.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. All right, back to me, 2026-179. This is an individual resolution looking to prorate and reduce the annual license fee for the borough's new but yet to be completed, and that's what I would underline for everybody, yet to be completed beachfront promenade concession at Ocean Park Ave and Park Place Ave. And what's happening here is we originally had a concession awarded to the high bidder, 21,000 to change, 21.2. And then they expected to be able to launch their concession early in the summer. The plan was Memorial Day. Construction is still ongoing. The contractors hit delays. They're missing the start of the summer, and even as we speak, we don't quite know if the contractor's even gonna make our July 4th deadline. They had a, as I mentioned, a Memorial Day deadline. Now it's gonna be tight to get July 4th. So in order to work with our new concession, that has a 3-year contract, I think. It's a multi-year contract. We are agreeing to reduce their first year from 21,000 and change to 5,000. And this is just to get them started, get them introduced to Bradley Beach and our boardwalk. And hopefully they'll have a good experience when we can get them into that building. And they will very happily renew at the rate they initially quoted for year 2, which will be in excess of 20,000. Any comments or questions on this one?
Do you know what the status is of what's been completed so far and what's remaining? I saw the concrete was poured outside.
Yeah, I mean, we do know this, the status to date is, they poured a lot of the sidewalks and they've got, they still need to do connecting for JCP&L, right? I think for the water.
That's been the biggest, for the electrical upgrade for the concession, that's been the biggest delay is get JCP&L in there. They are currently doing tiling work. They have all the fixtures there to put in the urinals and toilets. They're finishing tiling. So there's I'd say a 10% chance that they would get there by 4th of July, if that. But it's probably going to be shortly thereafter because we need to get JCP&L in there to upgrade that electrical service.
And then longer for the concession portion? Or will
Well,
the
again, that's all. We could open those bathrooms potentially prior to the concession being completed. And we're looking at how we could do that. But again, without having an electrical upgrade, that's the key piece.
The contract, for the public's knowledge, the contractor is sharing with our engineer that they believe they will be completed by July 4th. Everyone else independent of that contractor, who including Biagio Capone, our Director of Public Works, our former engineer, Mr. Councilman Nowicki, they are doubtful. So all we can do is push them as hard as we can. Hi, guys. Push them as hard as we can and hope that they can get this done by July 4th. But as of this point in time, we're intentionally giving a dramatic discount in first year fees. So with that said, I'll make a motion that we approve 2026-179.
Second,
Ms. DeNoble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Maliki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatoza?
Yes. Okay, here's the first of our 2 Darcy's resolutions, and this one's a little curious. Some folks might not fully appreciate that we are retroactively approving Darcy that they can stay open for business until 2:30 a.m. back on June 14th, whenever that was, 2 days ago. And the reason we're doing that is because we didn't have a council meeting. By the time they came and asked for this special event, approval on our part, there was no time for the council to convene and do that. So, and this is, we're told, perfectly legal. Mr. Doherty told the council members who were available, myself and Ms. DeNoble are not able to vote because we live in close proximity to Darcy's, but the other 3 council members have given, at least preliminarily, have given Mr. Doherty their approval. And now we are voting to ratify that approval. So any comments or questions?
I think it's just important to point out that this was for, they would normally have to close at 2 o'clock instead of 2:30 in the morning. And this was indoors.
Indoors and 1/2 an hour.
And 1/2 an hour.
If no other comments or questions, Jane and I both cannot talk, so somebody want to.
You wanna come up, take this one, you do the next one?
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion, to approve 2026-180, ratifying permission for Darcy's Tavern to remain open for business until 2:30 a.m. on June 14th, 2026 for the World Cup event.
Second.
Ms. DeNoble?
I have to abstain because I live within 200 feet, but I do have other multiple items that may appear as a conflict of interest that I wanted to share. I've hired Frank Morris in the past. Frank Morris Construction, fabulous work. My nephew Aiden actually worked at Darcy's and he loved that job. And follow me closely. My partner is partners with one of the partners from Darcy's in a separate endeavor. So for those reasons, oh, and I live within 200 feet, I will abstain. Thank you.
Ms. Greenblatt,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki,
Yes.
Mayor Gubitosi.
My partner does not have a partner. Other than-
Sorry, Chris, you are.
but I do live within 200 feet and I also must abstain.
Okay, thank you.
All right, item 2026-182. We did vote.
181, no,
No, 181.
we're on to 181.
181.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
next person's.
Okay, so someone must do 181 for us.
Sure, so this is 2026-181, granting permission for Darcy Tavern to operate outdoor televisions until 12:30 a.m. or until 15 minutes after the US World Cup game on Thursday, June 25th, 2026. Any questions, any comments from the council? If not, I've got some.
Well, yeah, no, Councilman Carp, I know you and I had some discussions on this. I've also spoken to the chief of police and I appreciate all of the residents coming out as well as the owners and, you know, it's an interesting thing. It is once in a lifetime thing, you know, here with the US Cup here. There's times when there's certain people, you know, we had some issues with parking out on Main Street in the past with other businesses. And we worked those situations out, and Darcy's accommodated an agreement to put back parking. And it was also came to my knowledge that this past Friday, I think it was Friday, yes, there was a game. And Darcy's chose to not open for dinner because out of respect for the community, because they did not want the congregant of people coming to that game and staying until, you know, beyond the 10 o'clock and having to deal with a large crowd. So they chose not to open the outdoor venue. And I thought that was very respectful of the community, being that they did not have that permit and understanding that they need to be a good neighbor and to go through a process for special events. So I do appreciate that and that they came with this particular event. There's always going to be these opportunities for special events. This is pretty special. It's the US Cup. I'm not a major soccer fan, but I have been watching some games and they are exciting. Not as exciting as the Knicks, I gotta say. But again, this is special for the community to gather, to come together. And, you know, again, looking for ways to minimize the noise, maybe keeping the sound down, things that you can do. Because once those soccer people get together and US is kicking butt and scoring, you're gonna hear chants USA. You're gonna see people hugging, you're gonna see an excitement and there's gonna be noise. And so we realize that, and you know, from that respect, I do think that this is an important community event. If we can, again, be respectful and respect the police department that will be patrolling, but also, you know, continue to respect the community when it's not a special permit to do this. And that Darcy remains as a good giving neighbor and that we can then in return be, you know, cooperative. So that's my comment.
And I just want to add to that, which, and I know you're going to speak in a moment, which is that the three of us were speaking one-on-one significantly once this question came to us and taking very seriously the need for safety, recommendations from the police department, an understanding of the community and to what degree the nearby residents might be affected by it, disturbed by it, in favor of it. And so, you know, with that, I think we sort of came to an understanding to make this decision for this one-time event.
I'm gonna go to the classes because I wrote all this down. So I've carefully considered Darcy's request to extend the outdoor operations until midnight for the upcoming USA soccer match, despite the current ordinance prohibiting outdoor activity after 10 p.m. As part of my decision-making process, I got on my bike and I started biking up and down 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, 4th Avenue. I don't think you were home. This was last Friday, so I was knocking on doors and speaking to the residents because I wanted to take a temperature of the room of the people who would mostly be affected by that decision. I will say that the overwhelming majority of the residents I spoke to expressed support for granting this one-time exception, citing Darcy's longstanding presence in our community, the unique nature of this event, and their desire to see local businesses benefit from the increased activity associated with the match. I had one person who told me about what happened on Friday night when Darcy's had made the decision to close, where they were like, that it's not just Darcy's that benefits from this. It's like, what, they decided, they weren't going to come down to Bradley Beach. So they weren't going to go to the beach the next day. They weren't going to have breakfast at one of the restaurants in town. So there's a waterfall effect that happens because of these types of decisions. But at the same time, I think it's important to remember that when businesses ask for exceptions to our rules, that their overall record of following these rules matters, and consistent compliance helps build the trust with residents and the borough officials. And that trust makes it easier to consider special requests when unique situations like this arise. And I think it certainly rises to the level of a unique situation. My support for this request shouldn't be seen as a guarantee that every request that comes before us will be approved in the future. I think instead it reflects the unique nature of this event, along with the strong support of the people that I spoke to, as well as the people that are here. And it's my belief that a one-time exception is reasonable under these circumstances. I hope Darcy's ownership, thank you for coming here, views this exception as an opportunity to continue to be a good neighbor, operate responsibly, and be mindful of the nearby residents. And so for those reasons, I do support granting this.
So you want to make a motion?
So can I actually, well, you know what, let's do that first. So I'd like to make a motion to approve 2026-181, granting permission for Darcy's Tavern to operate until 12:30 or 15 minutes after the second.
So actually, we're now in the point of voting, but there was a comment that I wanted to make.
Oh, yes.
Which was to make a minor change to the verbiage in the resolution. So this does not affect the decision, but it's a minor change.
Yeah.
Because there's something a little bit wonky, I think. So let's just go to 2026-181 and see if this change can be made. It's de minimis, which is, but the second to last paragraph, it says, no, the third to last paragraph. Whereas the Borough Council finds it to be in the best interests of all Americans for Darcy's Tavern to be permitted to operate. That's a little wonky to me. So I'm wondering if we can change that and simply say, the mayor and council, the Borough Council finds it beneficial for Darcy's Tavern to be permitted to operate. Can we make that change, Mr. Cannon? Without being,
If you want to take all the fun out of my job, that's fine.
Our attorney.
This is my little joy by myself in my office on Friday.
Our attorney's a big sucker and
Yes.
and player, actually.
So I make a motion to approve the amended version of 2026-181.
And I'll second that.
Yeah. Mr. Noble,
I'll abstain again, and you know why.
Ms. Greenblatt,
yes.
Mr. Park?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki,
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi.
Abstain.
Can I ask Kevin a question?
Just procedurally, maybe I missed.
Oh, I'm sorry, go. I'll talk to him.
No, just my question for you is, was that last motion, to make the amendment? Because then separately, we gotta approve the amendment.
Oh, I was under the impression with.
Did we do both?
Minimus and we approved it.
Oh, it's de minimis.
It's the minimus. They
It's
have
just,
to,
yeah, it's just a resolution.
Yeah,
You
okay.
can change it on the fly. It's not going-
okay.
Very good. Go ahead, Vic.
Is there, I don't know if you had discussed anything with the police department or anybody else about security that at that time, like when everybody is screaming and leaving and exiting?
We have, I can't, Tom is really our operational partner.
Okay.
We did give the chief a list of all the dates. that, you know, we would like the police presence.
Okay, super.
I'm pretty sure that's one of them.
We already have.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
I will try and work real close, and I would say, given the opportunity, the team has been great.
Okay.
The Chiefs team has been great in terms of coming to support and, you know, being good partners with that, so.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will move to 2026-182, the temporary emergency appropriations. These were just some final edits that Mr. Sine has shared with us. Any comments or questions?
No.
No.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve 2026-182.
Second,
Mr. Noble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gupatozzi?
Yes. Item 13 on the agenda, announcements, there are none. Item 14A, finally, we get to the most exciting part of the evening, the administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm gonna have a nice short report. It's nice to have you back, by the way. All the employees in Borough Hall, and happy to see the mayor back. And again, happy birthday. Mayor turned 59 years old. I wanna just mention what a great job that Mitch Stein has done on the budget. You know, aside from preparing the budget, he's also been working with the Department of Community Affairs on this. And as the mayor mentioned, on a regular basis, Mitch comes in and expresses to us little things that he's finding. So unbeknownst to us, he's essentially doing an audit, a forensic audit of the budget and the years in the past that brought us to where we are. So it's nice that he's doing this now because it should be much more smoother sailing with our finances and our budget in 2027. So thank you for that. Lastly, I'd like to make myself as available as possible for the residents and the members of the governing body. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be out of town.
You're getting married again?
Name and address, please, before you. I'm gonna be out of town, out of the country, so I will not be available really at all. From the 20th until the 1st. So June 20th to July 1st. If you don't get any calls back from Matt Doherty, I apologize in advance, but we'll get to them between July. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
That is it. All right, thank you, Mr. Doherty. We'll move to mayor and council reports. Can I start with our council president?
Absolutely. So the tourism commission had a meeting this week and they approved multiple resolutions. One was for the talent for the Saturday in the park, which is Riley Park every Saturday this summer, July and August. They also approved the Jazz and Blues series, the talent for that, and that is in Riley Park on Wednesdays. They also approved all the activities for the 250th celebration, which is going to be July 1st in Riley Park. They approved the Brookdale series, which is the music on Newark Avenue every Thursday. And they also approved DJJ, he will be at the gazebo every Friday. And they also approved Opera by the Sea, which will be July 6th and July 17th at the gazebo. And they also held their first annual Soccer Expo that you talked about earlier. It was excellent. And it's something they are going to do every year from now on, especially next year is the Women's World Cup. And Amy Baker, the tourism director, wanted me to share a few important dates. So write these down and mark your calendar. First, on Thursday, June 25th, they're celebrating the Global Beatles Day with a free tribute concert by the WAG in Riley Park from 6 to 8 p.m. And on July 1st, a Wednesday, they're going to kick off our nation's 250th birthday early with an afternoon of family fun at Riley Park from 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. Features live entertainment, historic demonstrations, and activities for kids, followed by a community kite fly down at the beach at 7 p.m. And then also, finally, on Thursday, July 16th, TJ, write this down, a blood drive. It's a critical community blood drive at the firehouse. Supplies are extremely low, so please register on our website calendar. You will get some merch. Donors will receive a commemorative 250th anniversary t-shirt plus a $10 Starbucks Wawa card for blood or $20 if you donate platelets. Next, we have the Bradley Beach Shade Tree Commission had their meeting June 3rd. They had two applications. One was 205 Central Avenue. They're removing a dead dying tree, which is also a Bradford pear in their backyard, and they will replace it with another tree. And also at 301 Second Avenue, they're removing a dying ash tree, and they will replace that. And then finally, we have the Board of Ed. They have a meeting tonight, and it's regarding the appointment contracts for our superintendent and principal, Dr. Michael Heidelberg. It's kind of exciting because they want to do a multi-year reappointment until 2030-31. He's a wonderful, wonderful principal and superintendent. And also they're going to reappoint David Tonzala, who is their business administrator, and he is just great too. And they're also doing some personnel reappointments. And also, this is interesting, the superintendent has recommended the submission of a formal resolution urging Governor Mikey Sherrill and the state legislature to provide immediate fiscal relief from double-digit unsustainable increases in public school employee health care premiums. So we're all feeling that. And then just a little note from the superintendent, also no principal, Heidelberg. He wants to recognize our entire community who generously made the Washington, D.C. trip possible again, year after year. From the coin drive and car washes to the kids selling snacks at any event, and so many other fundraisers, our family, the staff, the volunteers, and community members all came together to ensure every student has this opportunity. And visiting our nation's capital is a meaningful educational experience, and it is truly one of the highlights of their time at Bradley Beach Elementary School, and it would not be possible without the efforts of so many dedicated Bradley Beach school and community members. And that completes my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. And I'll turn now to Councilman Clark.
Thank you. First Aid Squad, for the operational period ending June 16th, 2026, the squad responded to 11 day calls, 5 night calls for a total of 16. 13 were medical, 3 for fire, 1 involved a water rescue, and 2 were for motor vehicles. The squad requested mutual aid from Avon. They provided 2 ambulances, medical overwatch, and personnel for the Bradley Beach food pantry pickup. They satisfied 99% of their assignments. Of course, they're still looking for volunteers for the squad. They offer free training for qualified individuals. Anyone wishing to volunteer for the First Aid Squad, applications can be found on the borough's website. And they're also accepting applications for their cadet program for young people 16 to 18 years old who are interested in serving our community. Short and sweet.
Very good. I'll turn to the other end of the table. Councilman Nowicki.
Thank you, Mayor. Police activity report on June 3rd, 2026, 500 block Bradley Boulevard, a 38-year-old male from Highlands, New Jersey, was arrested and charged with possession of a weapon, possession of drug paraphernalia, and tampering with evidence. Detective Lieutenant Anthony Murray made the arrest with assistance from Sergeant William Major. He was processed and later lodged in the Monmouth County Jail. On June 6th, Lake Terrace and Ocean Avenue, a 33-year-old male from Tuckerton, New Jersey, was arrested on an outstanding warrant from Asbury Park. Upon his arrest, he was found to be in possession of a knife and charged with possession of a weapon. He was later transported to the Monmouth County Jail. The patrolman Daniel Crow and Detective Gregory Pancha made the arrest. And on June 10th, 601 Main Street, a 32-year-old male from Freehold was arrested on an outstanding warrant from Lakewood Township. He was also issued a borough ordinance and turned over to the Lakewood Police. Patrolman Anthony Badalamenti made the arrest. During this time period, the police investigated 6 motor vehicle crashes and responded to several calls for service. Thank you, Chief, and to your team. On Sylvan Lake, I'd like to just report tomorrow at 7 p.m. in this chamber is the Sylvan Lake Commission meeting. So come on out if you want to hear about all the work that's going on with Sylvan Lake and what the status is and how they are looking to see how to get that lake dredged as well. So that's tomorrow at 7 p.m. And I just want to make a little public service announcement that is the construction for the Sylvan Lake on the bulkhead on Bradley Avenue. Nothing's happened before 4th of July. We do, and the same thing with the promenade. And we do not have the actual dates yet for the start of construction or any impact to any of the traffic or movements of traffic. As soon as the contractor gets those schedules to us, we will be communicating that information out in detail. But right now, no construction is going to impact anything until sometime after 4th of July. And that's my report.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Greenblatt.
Thank you, Mayor. The Fletcher Lake Commission met on June 11th. Fletcher Lake's annual spring cleanup was a great success, with 30 community members enthusiastically attending, approximately half of whom were youngsters, families, and a National Honor Student participating in community service. Thanks to Wawa for contributing coffee, to Stop and Shop for contributing donuts, and Bradley's DPW for bags and gloves. The cleanup produced 2 rusted bicycles, 1 tire, and 15 full bags of trash. Great news about Fletcher Lake. After Superstorm Sandy's tragic degrade of its aquatic ecosystem in 2012 with infiltration of seawater, the lake has come back better than ever with greater oxygenation to support aquatic organisms and fish. The DEP has given a green light for fish stocking, which will take place in the weeks ahead, adding bluegill sunfish, channel catfish, largemouth bass, and flathead minnows to the lake's underwater life. Watch for details as the Commission plans to celebrate this event publicly. And thanks to CLONET, the Coastal Lakes Observing Network out of Monmouth University, for supporting scientific data and its continued sampling to guide stewardship of Fletcher Lake. The Commission will next meet on Thursday, July 9th in this council chamber. The Rec Committee canceled its June meeting in preparation for summer camp. Be advised that the Father's Day kickball event has been canceled due to low enrollment. The Senior Club's next meeting is June 24th, noon to 3 at Mr. Shrimp to celebrate everyone's birthdays before they break for the summer. They will pick back up again in September. And Mahjong Open Play runs every Friday, 1 to 3 at the Piazza Center. Strength training Monday mornings at the Neptune Community Center is at 10 a.m. and step aerobics Mondays and Thursday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Both are free of charge. The Rec Summer Camp program begins Monday, June 29th and runs weekdays 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. through August 14th. Pickleball courts and the rec facility will not be available while camp is in session. Recreation is planning a first ever Camp Throwback Weekend, a 3-day adult day camp to run August 27th through the 29th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's $175 per person. The fee includes lunch and complimentary beach passes for all participants, as well as a camp shirt and lanyard with perks from shops, restaurants, and bars throughout Bradley Beach. Also, there are still a few spots open for Marine Science Camp, which runs July 27th to the 31st, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for ages 5 to 14 at Memorial Park in Neptune City. The Rec Committee will skip its July meeting, but will next meet on August 10th, 6:30 at the Rec Center. And finally, the Arts Council last met June 11th. Be sure to attend the first annual Arts Fest, Saturday, June 27th at Riley Park, beginning at 12:30 and running through 10 p.m. Programming includes a professional dance group, live music, including Bradley's own String Band, as well as James Maddock, line dancing, an interactive drum circle for kids and adults, art for youngsters, and more. Between 4 to 6 p.m., Posh Real Estate will host a locals art show reception featuring 14 Bradley Beach artists with refreshments from Stockroom. The day ends at the Uva's Tiki Bar, where a lineup of area musicians will gather to perform for an after party. Arts Council merch will be distributed at the Arts Fest. And please check out the Arts Council website. Let them know if you can help volunteer on the day of the event on the 27th, and watch for lawn signs for a full event schedule. A new workshop, Ballet for Balance, ran June 9th and will continue on the 17th, which is tomorrow, 10 to 11:30 at the Fire Hall. This is open to men and women of all ages, and it's a class designed to build strength and balance through the lens of ballet. The first session was well attended with the promise of a regular program this summer. Thanks to our local Lainey DeFranco dance instructor, and see the Arts Council website to register. Also this month, Abby Khan will run another free-spirited music improvisation play shop this Thursday, June 18th, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Biasi Center. The Arts Council will next meet Monday, June 22nd at noon at the Biasi Center. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I am going to begin my report with my most intense data summary provided by the library. This library, I'm joking only in that, you know, there's a ton of stuff they give me to read, and there's just no way I can spend the rest of your evening reading all of this, but it's phenomenal the amount of progress they have. Please go to their website. I'm gonna highlight a couple of things that jump out at me, especially as we head towards the end of June and through July and August. There is a photography contest that's been going on. It concludes June 30th. If you have children under 12 or adults, I don't know, they're discriminating against teenagers here, but you can enter the photography contest, deadline June 30th. There's also summer reading, Unearth a Story, June 22nd through August 5th, and you get prizes for reading. It's for adults and children. Register online. There are various games, Legos and other types of games that are available on a weekly basis. Mondays are Legos, Thursdays are crafts for kids and so forth. Just one or two other quick ones. June 13th, I missed. June 20th is the Spanish English Conversation Group. They meet at 9:30 in the morning. And on June 23rd at 4 p.m., there's a program called Bugs, I Love Bugs. And it's an art workshop, but you get a close look at a variety of insects and spiders. And this list goes on. It's fascinating, and it's something for all ages. So if you have any interest at all for yourself, your family, young children, check out our library website. We also have a few things going on, as you're well aware, on not only the promenade, the extension, but shortly following will be work that we'll be doing related to Sylvan Lake, but it's all at that southeast corner of the borough. And it's gonna create some havoc for residents and beachgoers in that southeast corner of our town. We have something drafted and we're making final edits and trying to add some graphics, but we're planning to get communication summary. Right now it's a 3 or 4 page document, a PDF, that we will be getting out in various forms across social media, Facebook and newsletters. We'll have paper that we'll distribute to the library and have some at Borough Hall and maybe 1 or 2 other places for seniors that are not as familiar with using our website or computers in general. So we're going to try to go at this multimedia, and we just want to get everybody to understand not only what we know now, we're going to communicate as we learn. Some contractors are just being hired. They don't yet have timeframes for doing various facets of their work. But as we learn with their timeframes, we will communicate because we understand what an important undertaking this is for the borough and the implications if we don't do it well and communicate well, the challenges it could create for our residents. Mr. Nowicki, while I'm on the topic of the promenade, there was one thing I wanted to ask you about, and that is, could you just give the residents a 2-second overview of the environmental inventory and reviews that are being done on the beachfront right now, today, as a matter of fact, just to make sure that we're compliant with protecting the environment?
So we have what's called a CAFRA permit, which is the coastal permit from the New Jersey DEP. And the biggest concern was with the DEP was the migrating birds, the oyster catchers and the pepper plovers. They're endangered species that could potentially be present somewhere along the beach. I know there's been sightings like up in Asbury, down in Belmar, on the oyster catchers. They have these long red beaks. But the concern is that they're not at the nest. And so if there's nesting, that could construction activities would potentially disrupt that. And so they are protected species, so we would have to adjust. Similar with the piping clovers, and then there's also a species of fauna, which is called the beach amaranth, which is a plant that grows in the dunes, and that's endangered. And so we have to take care that we're not disrupting any of those plants that may be growing in the proximity of the construction. So what we have is we have, a rope that runs on the dunes that basically defines that area of, for the beach amaranth. And so we're gonna have monitors during pre-construction and during construction that will come out, and they're actually started today looking at the area to monitor, investigate to see if there was any nesting or any sightings of the amaranth, and that will continue throughout construction. Because what we don't want to do is violate our permit and, disrupt those endangered species. As part of our beach management plan, that we should do these things, and the DEP has worked with us to allow the construction to happen because of the limitation of funding. So that's why we're actually doing this work during the beach season, which we would prefer not to. We would much rather do this work during the winter, but our funding expires on December 31st, and that's a federal grant, which actually goes back to COVID funding, is where that money came out of, interestingly. And so that end of that program is December 31st, and we cannot do any work or send in any bills at that point. So all this work has to happen now. We have to protect the endangered species, and we have to monitor for that to make sure that we're not interrupting if they happen to be nesting. So with that, that's what's going on. And the other thing that we're going to be very careful not to disrupt is the two-legged creatures walking to the beach and trying to maintain that people traffic to the beach. And so we're going to try to minimize everything we can do that impact temporary when access gets disrupted at a location, that we will provide temporary access, or again, communication is everything. So it's not just the endangered species, it's the two-legged creatures that we need to communicate with too. We'll also be monitoring for noise and air, anything like that has to do with the environment, making sure we're in compliance with our ordinances and standard practices.
And I asked Councilman Nowicki to share that with you because I want everybody to understand. Not only is there a lot of work happening, and we what's going to be visible to everybody is the crowds and the lack of space and all the the machinations we'll go through to provide walking lanes and stuff for folks. What's far less visible is how much goes on behind the scenes. And we're constantly, the council, our engineer, the police, our DPW, we're constantly interacting with all these different authorities, whether it be the New Jersey DEP, federal government, grant funding opportunities that we're pursuing. It's amazingly complex. And so far, I want to tip my hat to this team because you guys are doing a great job, kind of keeping your hands in a bit of everything. That concludes a quick update on the promenade. Related will be coming communications shortly thereafter on Sylvan Lake. And my final comment is June 30th. We said this earlier, but just as a reminder, we're going to have a special meeting on June 30th at 5:30 p.m. To adopt the budget. That is our plan at this point. So more to be communicated on that, but mark your calendars if you're interested. The fact that you're here tonight and still here tells me the people left might be interested. So with that said, my comments are concluded, and we'll turn to item 15 on the agenda. Your comments, the public's comments or questions. Anita.
My name is Aria 116 Oak Avenue. One quick question and then the main one. Chief, what's the absolute latest time that a block half an hour
half an hour before it gets dark.
Half an hour before dusk.
Okay, okay, 30 minutes. Moving on.
No more 2 a.m. parties for you.
We'll just have to keep them at our house. I don't know how many people here or on Zoom or how many people in general received the email that you addressed at the very beginning of the meeting. How do we get that to stop? The return email address looked a lot like a real Bradley government email. I had to look at it a couple of times, so I realized that it wasn't quite right. It's really an invasion of our information and our privacy, and I know that you guys have nothing to do with this, but how do we get this to stop?
We're going to explore that. I mean, that is certainly our goal, to make sure, if it's possible, to have it cease and desist, that will happen. But there's, as you can appreciate, so many legal ramifications. I've already briefly discussed this with Mr. Cannon and our labor attorney, Mr. Roth. We're also going to conduct, as I mentioned, internal IT review, just to see if we can determine how this data was acquired. But I don't have that answer for you. I don't yet know if we can make it stop, but at a minimum, we're going to talk about it openly, transparently in public, so that person might think twice before continuing.
Okay. And if you could just let us know what IT recommends for us, I mean, do we just block it? Do we respond in as unscathing a way as we can? Or not?
We will follow up. Once, we're just tip of the iceberg at this point.
Okay.
It's very unusual. It's important. A lot of people complain. A lot of people have specifically questioned, did we somehow allow that data to become available?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Should I know?
That didn't enter my mind, but it's just, it could be something as simple as happens in corporate America. People leave and take email lists and contact information and stuff with them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just.
We're gonna find out if there's anything we can do to formally, legally stop it, we will.
Great, we appreciate it.
Okay.
I'm sure we all will.
And Mayor, if I can, to Anita's point, in the email that was sent, it says Bradley Beach NJ, which is all of our official emails. So it's very close to cloning our emails as well, in a way to trick people into think that it came from the borough government.
Right, the Gmail is what really gave it away, but the beginning of it was just exactly like everybody's official.
Yeah.
But you'll see that with other people that are out there scamming, right? You'll open something and say Apple, there we go, I got something from Apple. And really it's, ADC123 apple@gmail.com, right? So if people spoofing, and you're right, it's easy to get confused and it's highly inappropriate.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Yes, sir. Mr. Nishankin.
Paul Nishankin for 11.5 Lorraine Avenue. Just to inform the council that last week, TJ Cohen and I both took part in a Zoom hearing with the New Jersey Historic Preservation Office. It was a hearing on New Jersey Transit's application to put in raised platforms in Bradley Beach. For those of you who are not aware of what's been going on actually in plans for quite a while now, is New Jersey Transit proposes in putting in raised platforms in both the outgoing and incoming tracks, which will be 270 feet long on each side and will be 57 inches high with railings on top of that. They also are proposing some minor changes in lighting around the station and also some electrical services, but there's really going to be nothing done to the building itself. However, these platforms, I pointed out to the Historic Commission, I guess no, the title is the Historic Preservation Office, that these really are going to block the views of the station from the west, from Memorial Drive. When you come into town, you won't see the station, you'll see a raised platform. And basically, I agreed with the Historic Preservation Office's initial letter to New Jersey Transit that this was an encroachment on a historic registered property. And basically, the hearing was to find out the details on this plan and what they would do to mitigate any of this. I suggested that, I thought that this was an overscale project. I questioned whether they needed platforms 270 feet long. New Jersey Transit felt it was needed in order to open all the doors on all 5 cars on a 5-car train. I pointed out to them that they've only been opening at most 2 cars coming and going. Usually they move everybody down to those cars long before they get to Bradley Beach. There are at least 5 stations which have to be serviced only through 2 cars. They were unaware of whether Asbury Park and Belmar, our nearest stations, had raised platforms. We clarified that, in fact, that Asbury does have a raised platform on the outgoing side and has what's known as a mini high platform on the incoming side, which services any ADA compliance regulations. They're able to get wheelchairs up into a train through that. I suggested that since there were only 150 people a day in peak season coming and going through the Bradley Beach station, I had not realized it was that low, that this was a bit of an overkill to do these huge platforms. And basically, I think the council agreed. They had some long discussion, they changed their language, and they gave a temporary denial to the application and asked New Jersey Transit to justify both the volume of traffic, the demands of that, and whether a mini high would be sufficient to meet the needs of the AD compliance. I don't think it'll stop this project, but basically it's raised some questions that New Jersey Transit has to answer to. The community should be aware of this. This is going to be quite a large impact really on that station. And it's an extremely expensive project. I don't think we bear any cost in it, but I've heard the figure of $14 million. Now, I suggested to them that this may be overkill. Basically, it would have a historic impact as far as impeding the views of the station. And also, there was some questions of whether it would actually reduce the ability of the station to service the concession restaurant that's in there now. They were putting in drop-off areas that might have impeded the outdoor dining. So I'm hoping they're going to take all this into consideration. And I thought you'd like to know.
Thank you.
Well, as our historian, thank you for representing Bradley Beach. Mr. Graham.
Thomas J. Colan, 612 Third Avenue. Paul, the champion, gave very forceful testimony at that Zoom meeting. It was really good. And he definitely spun them because I don't think they expected such detail from his presentation. But one thing that did come out is that they're going to be doing a lot of lighting changes. And if we look at what we have now and what we're looking to do on Main Street, when Main Street was done in '97, a lot of the same lighting fixtures were used in the railroad station. So I don't know if we should reach out to New Jersey Transit and try to coordinate the lighting that they're going to use with the lighting that we're going to use on Main Street, so we keep a continuity. That was one thing that came out. The lighting was very, a big deal, really. So I don't know what we have planned for Main Street, but it would be good to reach out to them and see what type of, spectrums of light, the fixtures they had looked like something we would want to use. But again, I think that we can keep continuity. That would be fantastic. I did want to check with Mr. Cannon. I see you have a closed session tonight. I apologize, I didn't print out the resolution, but are there any other members coming, just the council and you?
Just the council and me tonight to discuss the potential settlement in Garrison versus Bradley Beach.
Okay, great.
I'll be visiting the land use board on Thursday night.
Okay,
with you guys, and I set that up with Anne Marie already.
okay,
Spoke to her extensively about
fantastic. Thanks so much. Thank you.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, on that note regarding New Jersey Transit, Matt, or Mayor, have we received any notification from Jersey Transit on the project? Because they typically reach out, they're planning a project in the municipality, we would get notification.
No, as you mentioned, it's a comment period for them. I don't know if they didn't reach out to you, right? No.
So
They haven't started any work or anything like that.
No,
The comment period runs till June 27th.
So do they have a study that's available?
No, the idea is, I believe that station by station, they're going to bring all of them up to ADA compliance.
So is this the environmental document that they're looking at right now for Pro? Is this the EIS? EA?
Information I can pass on to you plans that they currently have, that they've submitted. It really, the borough should be interested, not just in the platforms, but also. There are some changes to the sidewalk areas and the narrowing of the roads of both Brindley and Lorraine Avenues. At the, just after the tracks.
Right, yeah, as there's bigger implications, they're gonna do platforms, they could affect. With overpasses, underpasses, all types of things.
And on their website, they have an aerial view of what it's supposed to look like. And they say construction is looking to take place spring of 28 to spring of 29.
Yeah, so I would thought they would have given us an official notification.
No,
of the
this is
project coming to Bradley.
the very
I'm
first we're
sorry.
hearing about it, but again, I do understand that their goal, whether it's Bradley Beach, Belmar, Spring Lake, is to bring all of their stations up to ADA compliance, and that means elevating the platforms, in this case 57 inches, other cases maybe 48 inches, just depending where. But this is something that
We've been in, I was involved in some of this in the past, so I totally understand what they're doing and why.
Yeah.
So, but we have to look at that really closely. To make sure that we get our commentary in and, affect that design, if in fact it's gonna come, if Paul's not successful.
and again, the public comment period runs until the 27th.
Of June.
And Paul, you said you can share the plans you've got with the council. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Shuck.
Room show 110 Fifth Avenue, Bradley Beach. As mentioned previously, I was here back in January. Asking the question, I came here at the last mayor council meeting. And I wasn't able to get an answer, so I'm gonna ask you now. When are we gonna correct George Albert's name and put him in the correct ward? Move him out of the Vietnam War into the Korean War,
Yeah,
as he deserves.
I can tell you we don't have a date, and the reason we don't have a date is because when you brought that to our attention. First thing we did was ask how much is it gonna cost, roughly $1,000, so it's not cheap. But I then
Compared
said,
to what we spend in this town.
I said to Michelle Wiley, if we're gonna spend that $1,000, let's make sure everybody else's name is correct. There's another name there, it lists only a last name, doesn't provide the gentleman's first name. Then I asked, what was the eligibility criteria that got a name on that list? No one could answer. Apparently you weren't able or willing to help provide that background. So
Well,
we
the
don't,
names that are on there are the people that served during that war. Just like you have World War II.
but how do we know that that is a complete list? I guess where's the research?
It's not a complete list because I guarantee you, there's a lot of women that aren't even up there.
Well,
That served our country, that lived in Bradley Beach.
I think in some ways we're on the exact same page. I just want to make sure we do it right. If I change one name now and then a month from now you come,
Name one, just change one name. I'm saying correct them all.
I want to
And
do
when
that.
is that gonna be done?
So actually, to your point, this was actually my first meeting that you were here. And one of the things that I had done is right after the meeting is I had reached out to you personally. I had called you up and and maybe it's even a text message that I had. And I said, listen, it sounds like you have a lot of information that we don't have. Can we meet and discuss what are the changes? And you said you didn't have the time.
The town doesn't have time for me, I don't have.
I was making the time, I was
But I
making the
will
time.
make time for individuals that deserve to be up there correctly. We have 4 different plaques. And none of them are correct.
And whosever fault that is, we need to find out what the source of that information is. I'm not gonna change one name unless you sign in writing. We'll never change another name because we don't know if these are accurate. You pointed out one mistake. How many other mistakes are there, Bill?
There's other mistakes.
And you're not willing to help us.
I'll let you know that right now, just like in this book. I mean, this was handed out on Memorial Day,
Yeah,
which should have never been done. Because, I mean, you have a draft dodger, William J. Duffy, and he admits that he's a draft dodger. We have another one that a stolen valor, he says he served in
Bill,
Vietnam.
I think your comments are
Yeah.
very inappropriate.
No, they're not inappropriate.
They're
That hurts me when someone says that they served in Vietnam and they never did. That hurts. You're taking away from all those people over there that gave their lives and those that got wounded, just like me.
Who's saying
Okay.
they served? Explain to me
I
what,
mean, it's written right here. He's a councilman, former council president, and your Memorial Day committee chair. Norm Goldfarb,
where's the say?
Vietnam, right here. It's written right here in black and white. Don't you guys read this? Your names are all over here.
Of course,
Yeah.
does it say
No,
Vietnam
there is
era?
no era.
Yes, there is.
No, there's people that said, or what you call it, that they were in the era, but he doesn't even specify that he's in the era. There's no specification. All it says is Vietnam, all right? And you have other people that come over here and turn around, they say that they're in part of National Guards or whatever. I mean, he doesn't even have that.
We are very willing to do everything we can to make all this information accurate. But to highlight one individual and tell us to change the entire chart, I need to understand the history. Bill, you were probably here. You probably helped create this. What is the data that was collected? How do we know? Your name is on that list, right? You served in Vietnam.
did.
But you didn't live in Bradley Beach. What made you eligible for this? Because you subsequently moved to Bradley Beach? And
All
if
those
so,
names are people that live in Bradley Beach.
today, what if someone moves here tomorrow who served in Vietnam, who served in
You
Afghanistan?
don't have to add them on.
Okay, and now you see my point.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
I
But
mean,
until,
if you're gonna name one person, you gotta name them all. This is what I told you guys last time. You name one, you name them all, or you don't name
can you
nobody.
tell us how we
Okay.
name them all? Tell us how we name them all, please. You don't have to do it, just tell us how we do
I'm
it.
not gonna tell you, that's your decision. You have to make that.
I don't know how to name them.
You're the mayor, you make
All
that
right.
decision.
Thank you, Bill. I can't guarantee you it's gonna change, but thank you for persistently challenging.
Same thing like the previous administration, the administration before that said the same thing. They all said the same thing,
Understood.
and it's still not done.
Yep, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Ms. Meadow.
Nancy Now, Wishmar condominiums. Really appreciate your opening remarks tonight. I have no idea what you're referring to. But I can give you this information. There are 2 employees here who personally violated my privacy. I brought this up with the previous administration. So I don't know what kind of hunt you're gonna go on, but there's a start. I also want to thank you for making the effort. Success remains to be defined, but making the effort to straighten out the mess and maybe lighten it a little bit that we're in. How many years, and I know 2 of you were up there, one of you maybe, have I complained about Edmonds and us not using it right, and everybody blaming everything on Edmonds? How many years, and this goes back 2 years, have I explained the lack of transparency in giving us a chart of accounts and the poor detail on the bill list and the poor classification?
At least 7 years that I've been sitting.
Thank you. We agree. Oh my gosh, what a moment.
7 years.
This is bigger than the Knicks.
Knicks won the championship. Who knows what happened next?
Do you even want to know that I got into basketball with the 73 Knicks? Shows how old I am. But you can get that from the people that violate my privacy here. Anyways, point being, I just really commend the effort to try to write this process. It's gonna take a long time, and I don't know that one CFO has the attention to detail. Because it just goes on and on and on, but it's like it finally clicked, although I will admit, we used to have a CFO that did the payroll also, hence get rid of Prime Point. But it would be nice for the public to even see a little bit of progress made, not in terms of the budget, just even in terms of the bill list. You know, when it comes with office maintenance, which office? When it comes to building supplies, which there's a lot of baby steps that can be taken, and I really do want to encourage you to continue on that path. So thank you for getting to this after 1.5 years.
Thank you for your comments. We only have a couple of people left in this room. Can there be other comments? Anyone on Zoom? I see none. Okay, we will close the public session and move to executive session. Mr. Cannon, what's the estimate of time for the executive session?
Approximately 25 minutes, and we'll discuss the pending litigation of Garrison versus Bradley Beach, docket number MON L 3458-22. No one except the council, the borough administrator, the clerk, and myself will be in the executive session.
Thank you very much. I'll make a motion that we adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Maliki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes.
And the resolution states 40 minutes just in case it goes over.
Oh, so good.
Thank you.
I need to-